United States of the attack ahead of time. They basically said, hey, get your guys out. We're going to do this for show. President Trump then posted about it on Truth Social. He wrote, I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region, and I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. He then called Iran's attack weak. So Trump revealed that they did this all for show and then made fun of them. Now, as I said yesterday, this was expected. They have to posture. They need to respond, but it would be symbolic, and it was. But on that point also, Qatar, they were very unhappy about the Iranian retaliation. And this was given the U.S. military base is in Qatar, at least that one. The country's advisor to the prime minister and their spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs posted a statement on X saying that, again, that's Dr. Mahid al-Ansari. He wrote, quote, the state of Qatar strongly condemns the attack that targeted Al-Ayud air base by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. We consider this a flagrant violation of the sovereignty of the state of Qatar, its airspace, international law, and the United Nations Charter. And there's also the issue of whether Iran is going to close the Strait of Hormuz, right? The little trade choke point they have there. The short answer is probably not. Now, as I mentioned, closing that trade choke point would have very little effect on the United States. In fact, the Trump administration even sent out alerts telling the oil companies, don't raise your prices if they shut this down because it's not necessary. It would basically be that, again, oil shipments going to China would probably skyrocket. Oil companies, being businesses, might want to raise the prices because they want to match it. They don't have to. The only reason they would do that is for personal interest in business. Trump told them not to do it. If Iran did close that strait, it would mostly only affect countries in that region, like Iran itself, ironically. Heavily, it would affect Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia to an extent, and others. But especially, more than anybody, it would affect China because, well, they buy most of their oil through there. And also, importantly, most of these are not shipments to the United States. Again, China would be hit the hardest on that front. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was calling on the CCP to even ask Iran to not block the shipments. And the CCP actually did make a call for that. They're trying to lower tensions. Oil prices did not go up. Like I said, it would not, as some outlets were claiming they would. Instead, oil prices actually went down. The price of gas went down, at least for a little bit. Also, the Trump administration is taking its own victory lap. They released a video of the B-2 stealth bombers used in the attacks. It started with them filmed at night in the hangars and then switches to footage of them landing after the 37-hour mission. They released the video without commentary. It's just the planes being shown in different areas. Now, not just that, but yesterday Trump also announced Israel and Iran have agreed to a complete and total ceasefire. That's right, a ceasefire. Here's what Trump wrote on Truth Social. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now. They violated it already, get into it. When Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their progress, final missions for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end of the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works out as it should, which it will. He was wrong, but he said, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance appeared on Fox News Special Report last night also to talk about what comes after all of this. Let me show you what he said. Watch.
What that means, I think, is we have to talk to Iran and, of course, to Israel about what the future holds, because while we have obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, our hope and our expectation is that they're not going to try to rebuild that program. And I think that's what the president is really trying to figure out here, is to build a long-term settlement here to where we can have peace in the region. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce long-term peace for the region. That's always been his goal. I actually think when we look back, we will say the 12-day war was an important reset moment for the entire region.
And that brings us to where we are now. Both Israel and Iran violated the ceasefire and launched missiles. Basically, Israel launched airstrikes on Iran ahead of the ceasefire. Iran launched a rocket that did not land, overshot its target. And then Israel vowed to retaliate. Then Israel struck an Iranian radar in response and then pulled back. And the latest, as of now, according to Trump, the ceasefire is back in effect. Trump was very unhappy with both of them, even made his statements clear on this. Earlier this morning, after all the back and forth between Israel and Iran, Trump stated on Truth Social, Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran, maybe waving out the window, right? He said nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Trump was very unhappy with both countries. He said he's very unhappy with Israel even. Interestingly, even a lot of the conservative commentators who've kind of not been too favorable with this, they were very happy about Trump's response. Trump said these countries have no idea what they're doing. They've been fighting so long, they have no idea what they're doing. And he's pushing for peace. He's trying to get them to stop shooting each other. Now, we'll have to see how this develops over the next few days. And now, well, there's the possibility also of a regime change in Iran. I'll be talking more about this after we come back from a quick break. All this in context with Israel and Iran, there's another important thing that just happened, and it's a bit controversial. One of the missiles that was launched by Israel struck the Evin prison in Tehran. And why is that problematic? Well, that prison also holds a lot of political prisoners. And that could be an issue because while there might be terrorists in there, the prison is also symbolic among the opposition parties. Although, look, the story is being framed in a few different ways. Personally, to me, this sounds like it was not an attack on the prisoners. Some media have made it look that way. To me, personally, it seems that this was meant to eliminate some of the key officials at that prison. BBC said this: Israel has struck Tehran's notorious Evin prison and damaged parts of the facility, which holds many political detainees, Iran's judiciary says. Israel's defense minister said it hit regime targets and agencies of government repression across Tehran, including Evin. It notes that France's foreign minister said the strike on the prison was unacceptable because it endangered the lives of two of its citizens held there. It notes that Evin prison houses thousands of men and women, including prominent political dissidents, human rights defenders, journalists, and dual and foreign nationals. One verified video showed damaged vehicles and debris scattered across a street. Another showed significant damage to the Sahidid Magadas prosecutor's office, a special secretary branch or security branch located inside the security complex. They note it's not clear how many casualties there were and whether civilians are among them. However, the prosecutor's office is usually filled with during working hours, it says, with inmates' relatives, lawyers, as well as prosecutors and judges, who are probably, in my take, the targets of this. It notes inmates at Evin's women's section reportedly told their families the ceiling was damaged and that panic broke out among prisoners, although they did not report any injuries, meaning they did not kill the prisoners. So what does this mean? It seems like Israel was more targeting the prosecutors and the judges at the prison, my personal take. Although, again, details are still thin. And if Iran's making the reports, they can kind of say whatever they want on who was killed with this. There's also some pretty important stuff with this. When they say they hit regime targets and agencies of government repression across Tehran, that's important because if Israel's saying that, at least to me, this suggests they're no longer just about nuclear weapons or enrichment. If you're hitting regime targets and, quote, agencies of government repression, well, you're not doing that to take out the nuclear weapons. You're normally doing that if you want to have a regime change. If you're destroying the leaders of the regime, you probably want new leadership, right? And what else is happening alongside this? Well, there's a key figure now trying to push for regime change. It's Iran's former prince before the 1979 revolution that installed the current regime. This is Reza Pahlavi, and he just gave a press conference where he spoke about his push for a new government in Iran and his push for a transition to democracy.
I am stepping forward to lead this national transition, not out of personal interest, but as a servant of the Iranian people. I have a clear plan for transition and national renewal. Our transition and future democracy will be based on these three core principles: Iran's territorial integrity, individual liberties and equality of all citizens, separation of religion and state. The final form of this future democracy we seek will be for the Iranian people to decide in a national referendum.
Now, during that speech, he discusses where he sees the problems with the current regime, and he goes deeper into his personal plans for the future of Iran. He also gave more details about what's happening with the Iranian leadership. Interestingly, he alleged the regime leader and his family are currently making preparations to flee the country. They're trying to leave Iran. He also said the military has been fractured. I think that's obvious because they killed a lot of the opposition. Basically, Israel killed a lot of the military leadership in Iran. And interestingly, also, he said there's only one way to achieve peace: a secular, democratic Iran. And he added, I am here today to submit myself to my compatriots to lead them down this road to peace and a democratic transition. He said, I do not seek political power, but rather to help our great nation navigate through this critical hour towards stability, freedom, and justice. And alongside that, he also called on the Iranian leader to step down, saying that if he does so, he's going to get a fair trial and due process. And he also promised justice against other regime officials. Anybody who he says has blood on their hands. It's a lot of them, actually. And with that, he also added, quote, to those of you who are loyal to the Iranian nation, meaning, and he said, not the Islamic Republic, he said there's a future for you in a democratic Iran if you join the people now. The choice is yours to make. Suggesting, of course, he's going to start a new kind of government in waiting if the government in Iran does, in fact, collapse. And it seems this is not just some random announcement. The prince is also announcing this movement. He said this directly, quote, to that end, today I'm announcing that I am establishing a formal channel for military, security, and police personnel to reach out directly to me, my team, and our expanding operation. He said this is a secure platform to efficiently manage the growing volume of inbound communications and requests from those breaking with the regime and seeking to join our movement. Interesting. Now, it seems that the Iranian alternative government, I guess we can call it, it's now official. There is a government in waiting to replace the current Iranian regime. I mean, we'll see if that changes. Now they have a peace deal. Again, we'll have to see. In terms of the U.S. stance on all of this, as of this morning, Donald Trump is saying he does not want a regime change. Epoch Times said this, President Donald Trump told reporters in Air Force One on his way to the NATO summit that he does not want regime change in Iran. He said that it would lead to chaos. And he said, quote, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly